Vice President, EMEA and APAC of Flight Medical, which does life support ventilation in COVID and post-COVID era. The floor is yours.
Hi, Ronnie. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you?
Great. Yes, great. So I'll try to keep audience tuned. So let's start. I know ventilation was very popular these days. So let me share with you our view about the ventilation. And I would start, I will show you some history because actually we have a very short memory, but COVID is not the first pandemic that happened to us. So this is how California responded to the polio pandemic in 1953. You can see the ventilators and ICU ward back then, and definitely the same what happening now in the world, same happened then. So ventilators attracted a lot of attention. And I want to show you maybe how ventilators will evolve through the years and what will happen in the future, and how we as a Flight Medical, the company with 30 years of experience, how we solve these challenges and address the needs of the market. So this is the first generation of ventilators which came after the polio pandemic, and a lot of efforts were put, and many companies as today was invested in development of the ventilators. There were different technologies and different ideas. None of them survived. Then in 50s there were a much more sophisticated development, and some of the ventilators did made it for a couple of years and maybe even a decade. The most known of them is Bird Mark 7, which till today can be found in some of the wards. The second generation of ventilators is started in mid of 60s with the introduction of the new technologies and new electronics and new ideas of how to synchronize with patients and how to basically ventilate efficiently, not just push air into the lungs of the patients. And by 90s, we come to see ventilators that actually they address a basic needs and question what is a ventilator, or why do we need a ventilator, or how the ventilator needs to perform. These ventilators can be found in India a lot as a refurbished ventilators. I have my own opinions about this, but it is what it is. There are many refurbished ventilators in India today. And in by end of 90s, you could see a very interesting phenomenon when basically with the advance of the electronics and computing sciences, that the ventilators started to shrink or becomes much smaller. This is when we as a company emerged, Flight Medical, and we started to cooperate with the US-based company Newport, which again doesn't exist today, but we had a very good business with them for a decade until the Newport was acquired by Covidient and then Medtronic. Today, the biggest company in the world. So basically, the fourth generation of ventilators is actually still is based on the compressor and gas-driven. Basically, you cannot move them out of the patient bed, and there is a very clear segmentation of the ventilators, how they how they ventilate and who they ventilate. And um, in 2000, and so before I go to the fifth generation and the future, I want to show you something that probably most of you understand better than ventilators and the respiratory science, is the mobile phones, right? So mobile phones also had some kind of um, advancement and development. So if you look at the 90s, when we started to use mobile phones, and most of us had Motorola's and Nokia's, and if you ask people today to use these phones, they probably would look at you as insane, right? Unfortunately, in the critical care, it's not the case. Till today, and I'm not speaking only about India, I'm speaking worldwide, you can see that in ICUs, you use technologies from 70s, from 90s. And this is a very sad, because we have new technologies. We have iPhones, we have, Samsung. And why, and when we speak about a technology for, for our own use, we can afford to spend this money. But when we speak about saving patients, we speak about technologies that come from 90s, like 20, 30 years ago. So here I want to show you, and really I'm not the prophet, and I like to refer to some big and smart people. So here we see a new device from the biggest company in the world, Maquet, and this is the newest product from their line. And one thing that they mentioned is like wall gas independent ventilators. So, and what I like in this brochure is that there is a horse. So we have a saying from the horse mouth, right? So this is a horse speaking that the future will be completely different as we see today. And here what we did in the flight medical in the last 30 years, 25, 26 years. So you can see that basically we in the flight medical, we stick to our idea of universal and multifunctional ventilators that you can use wherever you need it and whenever you need it, with any patient, infant or adult. And you don't need to stick to the wall gas, and you don't need to be, you can use it in the helicopter, and you can use it in ambulance, and you don't need to change it from when you transport your patient to ICU. So this is an amazing thing that we actually implemented in India, and many hospitals in India use our ventilators, starting from HT50 and Flight 50 to Flight 60 different models. And I'm very proud to share with you that also during COVID, we supported our customers all over the India. Just last month, we supplied a big shipment to Tamil Nadu. And this month, we will be supplying also a very big shipment to Ministry of Defense. So I'm very proud of this achievement that we did. And also we developed a new platform, ventilation platform. It's not only ventilator, it's a ventilation platform, Ventor. It has unique features and unique performances, and it will see Indian market very soon. So you are welcome to enjoy from our development and from our know-how. Yeah, so a couple of things that I definitely I hear and see that many corporations invest, and ventilation is extremely hot area today. So you as partners, investors, you need to consider future, not the past. Don't buy Nokia from 90s. You need to buy something from the future. So there are very clear and specific things that you need to consider, And I definitely encourage everyone to consider that ventilation wasn't born yesterday. There are many questions that the clinicians would ask. Today, probably there are not that many doctors, but definitely, you need to speak with the clinicians, with the experts in the area, and ask what they need, because supplying them a box that knows how to push air, it's like, you bring them in the same case, the fan, for the hair, and it will be the same effect. Right. So I just, I promised Ryan that I will keep the audience alive. So here's a picture of iPhone 5 that was before it's launched. So there is a lot of things that it was like pop that it can make a massage, and then attracts UFOs and exploration. And then one thing it doesn't do, this phone, it doesn't contain a phone. So be careful of things that that doesn't do the core functionality. Yeah. So another point I wanted to share with you is that the history of how many companies today exist for more than 5 or 20 years. There are not that many. You can see here some a history of one company. On the top was Bird, and it was acquired by Pulmonetics, Biasis, BD, and Carfusion, and VR. Basically, every couple of years, the company was acquired. Why? Because ventilation is a regulatory intensive area. You need to see whether ventilator is FDA approved. Why FDA approved? Because FDA traces recalls. No other regulatory body scrutinize so much the ventilation because it's critical care, and patients unfortunately die in this area. So no other regulatory body doesn't scrutinize the companies at the same level as FDA. So if a ventilator doesn't have FDA approval, there is a question why. So it will help you and your customers to have a good and quality solutions. Also, another example is Puritan Bennett, amazing company, was also acquired by a couple of times, and today owned by the biggest medical device company, Medtronic. And again, they have their own issues, and of course, we can share offline. So I want to maybe end my talk by this amazing saying of Mahatma Gandhi. It's there are many academic things, but the experience brings the wisdom. So.